Hello and welcome to another episode of Glory of Golden State Gaming. I'm your host, Swamp Swimmer, and as always, by my side, the jam to my peanut butter, Vespasian. How are you today?
I'm great, man. How are you?
I'm excellent. Doing well. We're both kicking around in the team tournament and in the league. And Vespasian or Aaron has a very special bat rep this week, and that is your week one game.
From the league, yeah. I'm excited to share it. It was a good one.
So I want to start a little segment before each bat rep we do, and talk about something off topic because basically I'm gonna bring up a subject and I'm gonna make you answer a question off the cuff. So the other day I was craving a fantasy movie. And my favorite fantasy movie is probably the original Conan the Barbarian with Schwarzenegger. Like, classic, mwah, perfect. But at random on Amazon Prime, I watched The 13th Warrior with Antonio Banderas. It's like, that's a pretty quality movie. Aaron, I wanted to ask you, what is your go to fantasy movie?
Before I answer that, 13th Warrior is an awesome movie. It's definitely on the list. I love that film. My go-to fantasy movie, oh, I guess I'd have to go with an easy one and say Two Towers, Lord of the
Okay.
Rings.
No, that is not a bad
Yeah,
answer. That's a great answer. The Attack
yeah.
of the Ents. I remember that.
Yeah, so good. It's such an awesome film, and I have the extended edition. So like the
Oh, that's
4 hour long movies is it's great.
I have that back in the day from my DVD collection, but I haven't actually broken out a DVD in I don't know a decade. So I think I might need to break that out and do the check that out. Then you mentioned that.
Do you have the ones that look like the books, right?
Yeah,
Like the
yeah, like the
yeah, same.
super extended ones, whatever they are.
Yeah, exactly same. Yeah, it's a great one.
All right, that's enough of the off topic. Let's get to this bat rep. So, Highborn Elves against Beast Herds, Unsane from the forums. Thank you for the game. I'm thanking him for you, I guess, Aaron. This is the
Yeah, thanks
fading,
for agreeing to the battle report. Appreciate it.
but it's the elimination round of the Fading Flame, which is the league put on by Abrasis from Poland. And we looks like we have Uncircle, Map 15, and Hold the Ground.
That's right. Yep.
Do you want to quickly run over your list? It might be a little bit small on the screen, but
Yeah, no problem. Oh, thanks for zooming in. Perfect. So I wanted to try the High Prince, with the Master of the Kranich Tower. That was one of my kind of basics of the list, and kind of from there, I also wanted to try some big blocks of infantry with the we're using new points here, so. With the recent reductions of the command and some of the other tweaks in the patch, I really wanted to try those out. The synergy with the Lion Guard and the Prince being bodyguard and the stubborn is really great. And also some new core. Some of you who play Highborn Elves or against them might have forgotten that we have an entry called Citizen Archers because I don't think I can remember the last time I saw a unit of those. But they just got a recent buff and wanted to try those out as well. And also, I was really pleased with the changes to pyromancy, and I love having scorching salvo on the adept. So I thought I'd try that out as well. Got a couple of griffins for zoning and and kind of heavy hitting damage and in a small frontage. And beyond that, some chaff with the reavers and some shooting with the Seaguard reapers and a unit of Grey Watchers because I love the effect and they're also great backup chaff. So yeah, it's I think good list. I've been enjoying it so far.
yeah, definitely I'm noticing the double commander on Griffin. Historically, you've been a dragon guy, but you're enjoying the double commander on Griffin.
Yeah, I like, they just got a bit of a nerf, I think, reasonable one in the patch, but I like the fact that they can, split up or work together. The dragon, in a singles all comers kind of an environment is a tough one. It's like, you're kind of setting up for a bad game if you play against cannons and things like that. So I like the fact that they're cheap enough to have two of them and split them up, and they can kind of zone separate parts of the line. You'll see how I use that in this game a little bit, and yeah, I've been enjoying them so far. So yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So, Unsane's running Beast Herds. Let me zoom this up.
Yes.
Minotaur Warlord, Destiny's Call, which is a change that the Minotaur Warlord can now take Destiny's Call, which is nice. Paired weapons, Blessing Inscription, I have Dominance, pretty standard there. Trickster's Cunning, Soothsayer on a Chariot. I don't see Seed of the Dark Forest, which I think is like an auto include with Beast Herds. It's interesting.
I think he the characters got pretty expensive on the chariots and stuff like that, so maybe that's why. But yeah, I like to see shamanism, not druidism, so something a little different there. So.
Yeah, shamanism. It's fun. Mongrel block, 2 blocks of chariots, 10 centaurs with lances, 2 3-man minnow darts with great weapons, 2 razor tusk chariots, some gargoyle chaff, and 2 more raiding chariots on their own. A lot of chariots in this list. Oof.
Yeah, I talked to him about that before the game, and he mentioned that with the Dread Elves probably coming up in the meta, he was expecting to see a lot of them. He felt like chariots was the best answer to them, which I agree with. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think good list. That Minotaur Warlord. I mean,
It's just a beast.
Griffin can't go into him. I mean, he's impossible to kill for me, basically. So yeah, yeah.
All right, and then next up, let's look at the. Well, this is already into your deployment, but talk a little bit about what you're thinking about the battlefield. Who chose
Yeah,
sides?
so I chose sides. So I picked big middle and small flanks, which I think in this battle, that hill is such a huge advantage. Even if you lose first turn, the ability to sit on that hill with the big center and zone the hold the ground is a big advantage. So I picked that bottom. I knew that gave my opponent some good cover, right? He could start off in the field. He could start off in the ruins. He can advance in front of that wall on the right, for example. But I felt like it was worth it. So I deployed. You can kind of see after my first turn movement, pretty centrally, but kind of weighted to the left. You look at the map and where that impassable is placed. The bulk of the game is always going to happen on the left,
Yeah.
right? So that's kind of my thoughts there. Just a quick primer: the green griffin, which both of them look like dragons, right? Kenyon, to your point. The green griffin is the BSB, and the blue one is the Talisman of Shielding Basalt infusion one.
And just the block on the right hand side, the big block is the spears.
Spears. Yeah, so it goes from right to left. It's bolt thrower, spears, BSB Griffin, sword masters, big archer block behind, lions, gray watchers behind, reavers up behind the forest, second Griffin in blue, and then the other reaper.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so pretty balanced given that I dropped. I kind of dropped to go first. So.
So yeah, and it looks like he's just chariot blocks in the center. He vanguarded up the 2 chariots in the center, and then he put one of the razor tusk chariots in the ruins, and then the centaur block off to the far left. Anything you noticed from his deployment?
No, I thought that it was pretty sensible. I mean, his answers for my blocks are the chariots, and having the centaurs off on the flank kind of forces me to do something about them, right? So yeah, I mean, I thought it made sense. He did a great job covering all of his leadership bubbles and things like that. So and he kind of kept things out of range for me, which made sense. So yeah.
It looks like spells wise, you did. What did you do?
Yes, thank you. So I did everything but draw for the Master of the Kranic Tower, right? So he can take all those 1 spells. I dropped Lash because his chieftain on Chariot, had a flaming ward, and nothing else really had great armor. So I dropped Lash for Hereditary, and then I did take I'm looking at this, I think I took Scorching Salvo and Flaming Swords. Just with the massive amount of units that he had and really not having a lot of magic resistance, I thought Salvo could be a good payoff, even though it's a little bit more
I
expensive
agree
than.
with all those single chariots running around. That's
Yep.
solid choice.
Yeah.
Let's see. He had 2, 4, 5, 6, which is on shamanism is totemic summon, break the spirit. 4 is um, chilling howl,
And then Swarm, I think.
and then 2 is swarm. So he didn't take the one spell.
No, I mean, he was going to blunt the gunline damage, right? So
Mm.
he took basically everything that does that, right? So, and you'll see, put some of them to good use. So,
All right, let's get into the game then. So this is bottom. This is after bottom of one
so
movement.
that last one was top of one.
Okay, so this is
Yeah.
him and him vanguarding, and then he takes first turn.
Um, no, no, no. Sorry. So I took first turn. So I picked sides, and then he also let me drop.
Oh wow.
So yeah. So if you go back to the last one, so I moved up like this,
Why
basically
why
to,
would he give you first turn?
I think, hold the ground. I'm assuming. So, it is a pretty good advantage to be able to move things
Yeah,
into
and
content.
you talking about the bottom of 6, then rush a bunch of scoring units onto the scoring on the objective. All right, I could see that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, and I'll try to take a deployment picture in the future, Ken. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
um, so basically, I moved up. I wanted the Griffin to the BSB Griffin on the right, the green one, to be able to zone at the center and also provide the reroll bubble. I moved up because I wanted to start advancing on the objective and kind of prevent him from just rushing me. And then I used the blue Griffin on the left, as you can see, to zone the advance of the Centaurs, but also try to keep as much of the center covered as well. So yes, so that was my movement. And then in Magic, I ended up getting, I think he let off Flaming Swords, if I recall correctly, and stopped Salvo.
Hmm.
And I think if you advance in the next picture, you can see the phase I got. Yeah, so I got the 7 phase, and did get the Flaming Swords off and stop Salvo. So and then you can kind of see what I managed to do
Yeah, it looks like
here.
you chipped away at the minotaurs here, and then you took one off of the centaurs.
I did,
And
and I
there's
also got rid of one of the raiding chariots in the middle.
okay.
Yeah, yeah. So and also panic the gargoyles on the right, which was lucky. I used the Seaguard Reaper on the right to do that, and got a couple lucky hits and panicked them back, which saved that Reaper.
That's the Achilles heel of beast herds is those pesky leadership checks, panic checks.
Yep. Yep.
Excuse me, discipline checks.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So this is bottom of your turn 1.
Yep. No, so this is his turn, his bottom of one, right? So that last one was my
Okay.
my yeah, yeah. So this is oh, so let me double check that. I want to make sure I'm not getting this wrong.
The image you sent me says this is bottom of 1 movement.
Yeah, meaning his movement. Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. Sorry. So that's his movement. So he kind of shuffled around here, and I was actually a little bit surprised because I can start taking the objective in the bottom of 2.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't do a lot to slow me down, I guess would be the best way to put it. He did charge my Reavers on the left, and I fled. I was trying to kind of pull his things forward, and had plenty of room for the flee. The Centaurs did not move up much, which surprised me. I guess the Griffin was doing a good job of zoning them out on the left there. And kind of generally, I was just a little surprised with the lack of forward movement. Given the matchup, I mean, I do a lot of my damage from range. So yeah, this one took me a little bit by surprise.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm looking at I'm just kind of looking ahead to the next one.
So this is top of two. This
Yeah,
would, yeah.
top of two. Yeah. So you can see I started moving forward, with kind of from right to left. I brought the spears forward because he really had done nothing on on the right hand side of the impassable there, and I felt like it was a good opportunity to start kind of encircling his flank, and I was confident I could get through that Minotaur unit.
Mm-hmm.
So started moving up to start creating a threat and try to draw some resources off to that side of the board. Other than that, I just moved up the sword masters to get on the objective. He actually, without moving the Minotaur units really aggressively forward, he had no way to contest the objective. So I kind of, I felt like it was a bit of a freebie, and so I moved that forward and positioned the Lion Guard for a counter charge. And I kept the Griffins roughly in the same place. They were doing a good job of zoning. With the lack of forward momentum in the middle, I turned the Grey Watchers to shoot at the Centaurs, and was pretty happy with the positioning here. Given the kind of tentative first turn movement that he had. So yeah, I felt like it was looking pretty good here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. So
Um,
going to bottom of two.
yeah, so you can see that I got healing waters off on the sword masters and got Oaken thrown up, which
Mm-hmm.
is always good to have available. So that was pretty effective. And the healing waters up on the sword masters did what it intended, which was that he didn't charge them. I think that's the right call. I mean, even with 6 chariots to the face, I mean, a 4-up regen is going to be really, really effective,
It is
right?
helpful,
So
yeah.
yeah, and I think what was helping me here was that the pyro spells, he after the damage on turn one, he was getting pretty shy of the flaming swords and the salvo, so it let me get off the Master of the Cranite Tower spells that I wanted, basically, because he was keen on stopping the pyro.
Yeah, that's the key to the magic phase is getting 2 or 3 must stop spells in a phase against your opponent, and those pyro spells he just has to stop.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see I did a bit of damage kind of all over the shop here. I did a couple more wounds to the centaurs. I took off one of the chariots in the unit in the
Yep.
center there in the field. And I think that's about it if I recall correctly. So then in his movement, he went for a big move, which you can see didn't end up paying off. He had a charge with the 3 chariots
Yeah.
there that are kind of on the left, and the single chariot into the Lion Guard.
And just the
Um,
single chariot made it. Oof. Oof.
exactly, yeah. So kind of the worst case scenario for him, it would have been better to have neither make it or the big
Or
unit.
the big unit of three,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, but having the one go in is just a freebie and a free reform for me. So it wasn't a close charge, meaning it wasn't an easy one, I would say. So he was taking a little bit of a risk, but it's a swift stride one, so it just didn't pay off. So
Mm.
yeah, he did that, and yeah, you can kind of see not a lot of other movement. He's creeping forward a little bit on the left-hand side. He did recalibrate, the location of his Minotaur Warlord to sort of be, I guess, threatening both sides of the rock. But other than that, and some spell range considerations with his caster, he just didn't move much.
Mm.
So, he, given me an up one on the objective as we talked about. Um, so yeah, this, I was okay with the outcome here. And then I think, just kind of thinking towards the next one. I don't know. You had any thoughts or questions on that one, Kenyon?
No, he's just it really hurt that his gargoyles flew away the first turn because I feel like that's the move with these chariots is to just throw the gargoyles in front of your units and then move up, take the chaff charge, and then counter charge with everything.
Yeah.
So that really hurt him. But I feel like he's being real cagey with you, which is I think the Beasters just need to go for it because they're going to outshoot and outmagic him. So
Yeah, it was a, I think having the gargoyles on the right, I mean, I get wanting to take down a bolt thrower early, but I also agree with you, having your chaff centrally is really valuable. So it hurt him here a little bit. So yeah.
and I'm not noticing it, but is he getting shame business spells off on you?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the pictures and kind of trying to remind myself. So one thing that he did get off in his turn one was a swarm of insects. You can see the 3 wounds on the bottom left bolt thrower.
Hmm.
So he did get that off, but not a lot else. And then this is his turn, turn 2 movement. So I believe that looking at kind of forward at the pictures, he also got off another swarm. I let that off and lost the bolt throw on the left. Um,
Yep, I just skipped
and
ahead.
what I was prioritizing there was I think 2 obvious ones: howl and summon.
Yeah,
those
yeah.
were my top priorities. So
And it looks like he got a
um,
totemic summon off here.
yeah, so he did get a summon off. So I think he just outdiced me. I think I saved the dice for it, and he got it off anyways. So tough luck there. He's getting, you can see we're both getting strong phases in the beginning, right? He got the 4 and the 3, and I got the 6 and the 7. So yeah, did get the summon off there. So you can see what happened. The lions kill the chariot in the middle,
Yep,
right?
yep.
And reform. I bring my BSB back to block the summon. I didn't want the summon getting into the archers. And honestly, the BSB should kill the summon, and even if he doesn't, charge flank, balanced by the BSB, I probably do at least 1 wound. It's probably a push, so not a big deal. So I kind of like that move of using the BSB as chaff in that case against the summon.
Your backfield chaff, the
Um,
BSB.
yeah, exactly. Other than that, you can see I kind of maintain roughly my position in the middle. I pull the blue griffin back and sit him with the center on the hill. With the way that he's starting, impinging on my left flank, there just wasn't a lot of viable places to sit over there for the griffin. So I pulled him back to continue to threaten to the left. And also add a little bit more pressure in the center. And then you can see I bring the spears kind of swinging them out and up a little bit.
Yeah.
My whole idea is that kind of the further away they get, the bigger a diversion of resources it is for him, right? So that was kind of the thinking there. So yeah, I think once again positioned. Now I've got 2 units on the objective. So at this point, I think it basically actually might be literally impossible for him to claim it in 3. So that puts me, I think, sizably up on the objective. So yeah,
Yeah.
um,
All right, let's go to
yeah.
his bottom of his 3 movement. So okay, look at this.
Yeah. So a couple things happened here that was not great. So the first one was I ended up getting the 2 spell card, which is always, I love that demon ability, by the way, with the sentinel to know what your spell card's going to be.
That is pretty cool, yeah.
So I got that, and it was you can see that he ended up letting me get off flaming swords. I didn't have too many dice, and my hope was that he would be more scared of the flaming sword. But he ended up letting it through. I tried to split up my dice to get some buffs on the sword masters and failed both spells. So it
Hmm.
was kind of a shame. I think maybe in
Just a bad
hindsight,
phase for
I
you,
should
yeah.
have. Yeah, maybe in hindsight I should have just gone for the defensive spells. But with not too many dice, that just wasn't
Well,
what I thought.
you got flaming swords up. But I don't see anywhere where you really took off wounds in your shooting phase.
So there are some wounds. So if you look at the chariots that are into the sword masters, one of those chariots, the one on the left, is the remaining chariot of that unit of 3 that charged the lions.
Mm.
So I did kill 2 chariots with the flaming swords archers. So I felt like that was a pretty good outcome. So I was happy with that. But basically, what he did was he took every chariot charge into the swordmasters and made them all. So I was I'll be
All
honest, I was
right.
sweating a little bit. It's
Beast
game
Herd's
time,
making a
right?
comeback. All right, I like this. This is good. This is good.
Yeah, yeah. So beyond that, you can see he makes a move on the right-hand side.
Chaffing,
He
yep,
he
yep.
puts the gargoyles to chaff the spears and then brings the Minotaur Warlord over, which was an interesting play. I got to be honest with you, I was not. I think the Warlord does more in the center. You'll see how things end up, but this was a surprising one to me. I thought he kind of was pulling a frankly, I'm happy to lose the spears to distract a Minotaur Warlord for the rest of the game, right?
Yeah, and like he made this big charge in with 3 units of chariots, which is going to do loads of damage to your great swords, but not your great swords, the sword masters. But he really doesn't have a second wave after that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and also you'll notice the Minotaur unit going over there. That's one of his scorers, right? So kind of I was feeling like my opponent was kind of giving up the objective here, pretty early, but we'll see how it works out. You can also see that the summon does head back towards the bolt thrower. He didn't like the fight with the griffin, but doesn't make it, which I think was a little bit of bad luck. I think a pretty average roll would have gotten him in, but he just didn't make it.
Mm.
You can also see I'll bring this up once, and I'll promise I'll not to complain too much about it again. So at this point, you've got 2 rounds of the Seaguard Reaper into these centaurs. The Reavers have shot at them now, and the Grey Watchers have shot at them every turn. And I've killed 3, which I would say is pretty bad. But well, you'll see how it pans out further on. But yeah,
Yeah, that's some bad dice, but all
yeah.
right. So
So
it looks like the dice are swinging in his favor in this turn. Let's see what
yeah,
happens.
yep.
Ooh, ooh.
Yeah, so basically he goes into those sword masters and he rolls really well on his impact hits, like very well. He kills, there were 22 of them, I think, to begin with. He kills 14, or 13, something like that. So really, if you think about it, it's 46 impact hits. And I mean that's well above average in terms of, even though he's wounding on 2s. So he does really well with the impact hits. The swordmasters go back and they kill both of the central 2 chariots, and then do a wound on the single remaining chariot on the left, right? So
Those sword masters are, ooh, they're beefy. They're brutal.
yeah,
But he
yeah.
he needed to break you, and obviously he didn't break you.
Yeah, so then after the strong at the beginning, the dice swung away from him, and he literally did 1 wound with all of the remaining attacks, which is
Oh
like
no,
like 10.
no!
Yeah, yeah. It was not great. You'll notice that he did get a totemic summon off,
Yep,
right?
down
So
at the bottom.
I
Yeah.
had to stop break the spirit on the swords because it was important for them to do some big damage there. Um, so yeah, I ended up losing like by a mile, but I was steadfast and stuck on the 10 rerollables. So he reformed. You can kind of see he played around a little bit so that my lions couldn't see his chariots, right? He
Mm-hmm.
turn that one into the flank, basically.
Yeah.
Um, and he did do some wounds on the Reavers with his summons breath weapon, so
Yeah.
he killed 3 of them there. And
And
that is about it.
Highborn Elves don't fail panic checks. They don't do that.
No, I guess not. I gotta say, I love the 18-inch BSB bubble with that Griffin. It makes it a lot
Oh,
easier
the
to manage.
Griffin's towering presence. I forgot about that. Yeah, that
Yeah,
really
yeah.
helps. Yeah.
So that's nice. Yeah. So you can see what I did next. So spears on the right charge the gargoyles.
Mm-hmm.
The blue griffin goes in to support the swordmasters. I just couldn't take the risk that they wouldn't make it. So he goes in. The lions come up. because I was, I had the Reavers to use as chaff on the left, which you can see I was able to chaff both units. So the Lions can come up. And my main objective here was I think at this point he has to go for the objective. And if he doesn't, then I win it. So I wanted the Lions up to punish anything that came forward because they can handle, I think all of those units up there at once.
Yeah.
So that was my thinking there. So you can see I got the second objective thing at the bottom of 3. So yeah, it was a good, I think a good response here, and gave me some breathing room and advantage on the objective. So yeah,
All right.
yeah. So in
Ooh.
his, you can see predictably the sword masters and the griffin managed to finish off
Yeah.
those characters, or sorry, those chariots. I did get altered sight up on the archers, and I think my main focus was to try to rebuild the sword masters a little bit. So I was bringing back sword masters pretty much every round with the oaken throne, um, and I want to
It looks like you
say,
took care of a chariot on the top left. There was something here before. Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh no,
I think this was.
the minotaurs. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that was the archers taking care of the minotaurs, and really that was just my prioritization of the objective, right? Without those minotaurs, um, there was really no way he could contest it anymore,
Mm.
right? Um, so yeah, that was kind of the remainder of my turn, and then into his, you can see he makes his move on the right. Um, I did end up making a mistake here. I reformed my sword masters, my spears to have more ranks,
Yeah.
and that ended up allowing him to put the Minotaur Warlord in the middle and keep just the dart off to the
That's a
side,
good
which
move. I like that move. That's a
yeah.
sexy move. Yeah.
If I'd stayed wide, he wouldn't have been able to do that. So that was a mistake on my part and a good capitalization by my opponent. And then you can see the centaurs go into the reavers, and he just kind of
Mm-hmm.
repositions the razor tusk chariot. So
It looks like you
once
killed one of the totemic summons too. One is alive.
Yeah, I want to say that I got off yeah, so I had the 8 phase. I got off a scorching salvo. So that put the 1 wound on that minotaur dart up above,
Mm-hmm.
and it helped kind of it cleared out that totemic summon down in the left, and it helped with finishing off the minotaurs in the middle as well. So yeah, that was a pretty good spell. I like the salvo in this case. So yeah.
All right. Looks like his phase. Not a whole lot happens. I see a lot. I see some spearmen missing on the right though.
He did, he's getting some work done. He cleaned up the bolt throw on the bottom right with the summon.
Mm-hmm.
He's murdering spearmen. I did challenge, just trying to reduce the damage, and his Minotaur champion accepted and murdered my spearman champion.
Just
Obviously
brutally murdered.
not great. But I did do a wound. I did do 2 wounds to the warlord this turn, and he saved both of them, which will end up being a trend. He did get chilling howl off. You can see this turn.
Hmm.
I just prior, and he also got break the spirit off on the blue griffin. So you can see he also got the big phase as well, or one of the big phases. Um, so yeah, but the story here is that at this point I have won the objective, so
Yeah.
so that's nice. And I don't move a lot, honestly. I like my positioning. Sorry, this one is at the end of his turn. This is before my
Mm-hmm.
next turn.
Let's
So
jump
so
up.
this is where it finishes off. Yeah. So then I think we can go into my turn.
There we
Yeah.
go.
Okay. So I do a few things here. I pull the archers back. Now that there's no real threats in the center, I want to focus on the centaurs over there. Um, and then I pull it's kind of hard to see, but just behind the sword masters is the prince out by himself.
All right, right
Um,
here.
and he does have swarm of insects, but what I was trying to prioritize here was I really wanted a 12-inch range on those spears. I wanted to be able to bring the champion back for the challenge
Mm-hmm.
by raising a model, and I wanted to be able to put healing waters on them. I thought that was an important threat to have. And then I bring I bring the blue griffin around to threaten some counter charges on the minotaurs, and I pulled the sword masters back because they've done their job, and I I'd prefer to preserve their points basically. So yeah, this was my moves here. So
I mean, looking good. Yeah.
yeah. So now you can see a couple of things. This is, his turn, but you can see a couple of things happened. So first of all, um, notice, yeah, now admittedly I have Chilling Howl up on me, so fair enough. But notice that
What is that?
26 archers, 5 Grey Watchers,
One
and one centaur.
one centaur.
Yep. I mean, maybe I promised not
Those
to say that.
centaurs, they got thick skin. They don't worry about it.
Apparently,
They can
yeah.
take on all those arrows.
Yeah, apparently. So that was a little bit disappointing. The other thing that ended up being really disappointing was I got the one phase, as you can see up there
Mm-hmm.
on the upper left, and I ended up just having a really bad phase and just got Altered Sight up on the archers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so at least I got the champion back in the spears, but I ended up failing both the hereditary and healing waters in this round, which basically spelled the doom of the spears, unfortunately. So
Yeah, you're down to
um,
you're down to one rank being
yeah,
steadfast, and just next combat they're toast.
yeah, I did get a little lucky and plinked a few wounds through on the Minotaur
Champ,
unit
yeah.
and the Minotaur champion. That heroic spearman champion went two for two that round, but died again. And then so yeah, it's that I was hoping for more of that phase, but I guess dice turned on me a bit. So yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And there you go. Spearmen are dead on the right. Centaurs make it into your archers. Yeesh.
Yeah, so a couple of things happened here.
And this
So
is this is bottom of six or top of six.
this is bottom of six. So
Okay.
so unfortunately, I missed my six. But basically, a couple of things happened. So in my six, I tried to charge the Swordmasters into this totemic summon that was back over a little further down to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I needed a 7, and I thought it was worth the risk because if they get down there, one, I get rid of the summon who was threatening my back lines at the time, and two, it gets me well away from where those minotaurs will be when they finish up the spears, right? Um, in hindsight, I probably should have just marched. It was a 7 on the dice. If I'd marched, I would have given up my rear to the Minotaurs and potentially, allowed them to charge me anyways. So I
Hmm.
kind of took the risk and ended up failing. So that was a shame.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that happened because of my really really bad magic phase, the Minotaurs finish off the spears, and now the flank of those sword masters is exposed to them. And because of the positioning, I can't flee because the centaurs will just bounce them off the board.
Hmm.
Um, the one thing that did happen that was really lucky for me in my last phase was I was able to finish off that Razor Tusk chariot, and that was sitting over there by the
Oh,
forest on the left hand side.
the other one was right
So
here. Yeah.
yeah, so that was good. So he brings the centaurs in, and he does have an overrun if he finishes up those sword masters with the warlord and the minotaurs into the rear of my archers, which started to get me a little bit worried here.
But
So,
you got enough bodies there to maintain steadfast.
well, if they all make it in, it's a lot of heat. But yeah, we'll see what ends up happening. But yeah. One other note, I did make a decision here. I had the option to try to charge that blue griffin into the Minotaur block on the right hand side,
Hmm.
after they
Oh,
finished
wait
up
a
the
minute.
spear.
The warlord's in the side of your.
Yeah, they're
Oh,
they're
that's a
separate,
warlord.
but
Okay. All right.
they both charged. Yeah, exactly. I had an option to try to get that griffin into the Minotaurs up there,
Mm-hmm.
but I decided not to take it because he had the warlord as a counter charge. One and two. If I failed, they would have been able to charge him. So I ended up backing him up out of line of sight instead of taking the risk. So
Does
um,
the Minotaur Warlord have an overrun into the Blue Griffin?
no, it was not possible.
Yeah.
So I was lucky enough that the Sword Masters made it that far, and I checked it when I moved the Blue Griffin. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he makes it in with all those charges. The Swordmasters finish up the Minotaur unit, which was nice to get the extra points there, but they get wiped out
But the
by the
Warlord,
war.
yeah, yeah, I can see that
Um,
coming.
yeah, and then he makes the 7 or 8 overrun into the rear of the archers, but as you mentioned, it's not enough by himself, and so
And
one just to reiterate one thing, so those centaurs also ended up taking a stand and shoot from the archers. So yes, I think in
stand
total,
and shoot with -1 because you were break the spirited.
yes, true. But at the end of the day, I think I counted it up, and those centaurs had something like 90 shots at them, and I killed 3. Um, so, anyways, side note.
It seems like
Um,
you have a lot of bad luck with just particularly your shooting in the games we've had
yeah,
too. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But he goes in, he wrecks the archer block, but they're steadfast and stick. I managed to do that, and the summon doesn't make it into the Grey Watchers by 1 inch. I lucked out on that one again, and 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 that's the end of the game.
Yeah, because if the summon had gotten to the Grey Watchers, broke through them, and then he would have had him in the next combat also.
Yeah,
Meh.
yeah. So yeah, that's that was it. It ended up being a 12-8 on victory points, which went to a 15-5 to me. But I gotta say, I think that a couple that mistake with the spears on the right, reforming them small, frontage. It ended up, I mean, you can see what those Minotaurs ended up doing. They almost broke it into more of like a 13-7, right? So
Yeah.
what I thought was a pretty commanding, lead in turn 4 almost fell apart. So I think it was a good game and hard fought. My opponent played it right down to the end. So yeah, what'd you think? Any thoughts?
It's a good game. I think you're right. I think he made the wrong choice putting the Minotaur Warlord to the right of the Impassable. Good, but I don't think the Minotaurs wouldn't have finished off that big spear block. So I don't even know. Um, I just think he was too cautious with pushing stuff forward. I know it's hard to push forward on a Highborn Elf list, but especially with the counter charges from your Griffins. But I feel like he gotta those mongrels just did nothing the whole game,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
feel like
that was
they wanted to sit on the objective if they could, but they just never made it there.
yep, yeah. But well played. I mean, I don't think my opponent made any tactical mistakes. It was a very solid game, and I think we both enjoyed it. So yeah, I think that it just kind of goes to show how important the objective is, and kind of having a plan for it, because that was kind of my top priority. And that healing waters that I got was big, because it basically pushed him off for the objective. So yeah.
All right, it's a good game. Starting off the league strong with a 15-5 win in week one. I like it. Or
Yeah.
round one, which are 2 week rounds. Yep, I got my game in also. That would probably be the next bat rep we put up on the channel. And
Yours was a really good one too, right?
a good
That
game.
was,
Well, every game with me is a good game, but
well, I mean, I think I remember you saying it was a really a good hard fought game. So
yeah.
yeah, looking forward to that next one.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for viewing watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.
See you later.